right? That it's
Yeah.
okay to have this regret and this pain. And it's not so much as sort of like, how do I get rid of it? But it's sort of like, what happens next kind of thing.
Right.
Because as we've
Right.
said, we can't erase it. You can't go back
Yep.
and change it. But so what happens next? How are we to deal with and move forward? I don't know if you have thoughts on that, Father
Yeah,
Basilio.
I have basically two thoughts on this one. The first is, I think the Lord, in his brilliance and in his genius, knew that this is a normal part of the human experience, is that we engage with time, including the past, and quite often we engage with it with regret. And he provides a direct pathway for dealing with our past actions, and that's called the sacrament of the confessional. So, like the sacrament of confession, reconciliation, penance, whatever title name you want to give it, it's all the same. That sacrament precisely deals with the concept of time, right? And what I mean by that is that we bring our past sins, the things that have been done, and we place them into the hands of the Lord in the confessional. And the reason we do that is because those sins are ours. We did them. Like, we said those words, we did those actions. And thus we have a certain authority over them. The evil one does not have the authority over it, but we do, because they're ours. And then we place it in the hands of the Lord, who is legitimately the only other person who has authority over the past, because he created time, past, present, and future. And when we give it from our authority to the Lord's authority, he then takes it and forgives it. Right. And it doesn't mean he erases it as if it poof and there's no consequences and we hit the reset button, Control Alt Delete. We're not talking about that, but he forgives. And so the reason he can do that is because he has authority over time and he created it. So I think that's the first thing I want to mention, is like the Lord understood this and actually instituted a particular sacrament for his mercy and grace to heal our past. Right. So that's the first thing to look at. And I think the other aspect of it is to legitimately talk about, how do we heal from past wounds, hurts, whether they're self-inflicted wounds or maybe wounds that we've received from another, via traumatic events or different elements. There's a real possibility that these things can be healed. I would definitely advise that you have to have a certain level of spiritual maturity before embarking on kind of healing memories or healing past realities. And I do not advise anybody to do it by themselves, right? If you are, it's definitely somebody who is at a very, very high level of spiritual maturity that can do this on their own. Most times you need to do it with a certain guide to walk you through the healing of past memories, be them hurtful memories, wounded memories of those types of things. So, I was talking to a friend of mine and they were like, yeah, like it's such a beautiful thing to see how memories can be healed through the grace and mercy of the Lord. But it is super important that it's not a process that's embarked by oneself. Like my friend was saying, that she was like, you can't do this by yourself. Like it just has to be at a super high level of maturity. But we can do that with a guide and with the right kind of coaching and guidance. And I think what we're talking about this is like the beauty of the, the kind of neuroplasticity of the brain to recall those memories. Those pathways can actually be reforged away from having the memories be triggering and kind of almost paralyzing experiences, to being infused with the grace of God and with his presence, that they can be healed. And that takes some work, and you can do that, and you can be done with a tremendous amount of grace. And like I said, with the right kind of guides and coaching through it, but in allowing the Lord into those memories allows you the opportunity to retrain your kind of neural pathways to walk through these memories again, but with the presence of God in them.
Father Jacob-Bertrand.
Father Gregory.
A Dominican, a Franciscan, and a Jesuit walk into a bar. One of them asks the audience to subscribe. That's not a joke. Any ways you can improve upon it?
Just don't tell jokes.
Right. This is not a joke. Please subscribe. Cheers.